episode 28 of Valheim Slow and Easy. Hello, everybody. It's me, Hank. Look at this cool project we're doing here. It's been a tedious slog to get to this point. Still not completely sure it's the perfect setup, but I'm confident it's going to be just fine. Thanks for tuning in. Last episode finished with us kind of getting dialed in on it, but now that I think we're there in terms of the canal construction that we're going to be making lots of progress on today, I'm pretty confident. I'm glad to. What am I trying to? I'm sure. I literally have no memory of the sentence I was trying to finish. But we're going to see a ton more progress here. We're going to see a lot more go through. Going to take up a ton of stone, probably. I mean, for sure. But probably depleting most of my storage that I have. But now that we actually, see, I knew there'd be spots like that. Oh God, look at the dirt sticking out. It's unacceptable. So I had a feeling as I was in bed imagining this, fantasizing in my brain, that that exact thing would be a thing that would happen, and it is, and that's fine. See that right there. So, but we can get back into it. I can come through here and do the tedious thing where I have to swim around, wait till I can pull out my hammer, and fix it. But I'm not going to torture you with watching me do all that. I just did one or two here for an example. See, like once I can get my footing, then you can take your swing. Wonder if even taking a hoe at it might flatten it. See, but I still got to get my footing to do it. But then it brings it up to your layer, so I don't know. At the very worst, I have to wait till like the waves get bad. In other words, that the waves will dip up and down more so that I can go even deeper, and I'd be able to then get in there. So that's fine. Or even just raise it up just a slight bit. That might even be smarter, to be honest. So, yeah, so I have it set low enough that I can swim, but maybe it does make more sense that I could just like barely walk. It's kind of stupid to sort of torture myself with all that, but it's what we're doing here. So thanks for tuning in. Valheim Slow and Easy is your #1 source for boring, sleepy gaming. I want people to feel safe and restful enough to fall asleep. That's why I put so much effort into not fucking up the audio. I've never made a single mistake. Not even once. I did make a mistake once, and it's when I thought I had made a mistake. Oh, God damn it. There. Okay. Even with some of the dirt poking out, it looks cool. I mean, come on, who expects the floor of their canal to be super clean? God damn it. I used that ladder thingy there as a stand, but I should have used it as a ladder. That probably would have been smarter. 40 minutes later, I'm still exactly there. So we got some deer barking, but not too bad. At least it's distant. So here you go. Let's make it easy on ourselves. Shut up. Okay. And just want to get this one down. And then put another stair down. Beautiful. That'll help. Sun's going down those. It was just nice lighting conditions before. Zoom in a bit more. We'll try lighting some torches and see if that helps us a bit. Nope, that's my box with one man's head in it. So yeah, it's much of the last several episodes. I'm sure you might have already seen it, but has been me doing this project here. Finding it. Oh, there's a big old chunk there. I'm trying to maintain the wall. That is part of the whole thing. That's kind of partially I could chop away at the wall with a little bit more gusto, and I probably will. I think these look better when they're offset, don't you? I don't want to lose the stones in those things because I think they can get buried up. So here, let's set the offset there. But I mean, now that I'm doing the wall thing, I don't necessarily have to... Oh, God, no, I'm just in a bad spot. Oh. Hang on, we need another... So well, this will also make it easier for the other 3 canals we have to do. Should I do the entire river? I have this whole river here. We could make... That'd be a huge project to line it with stone, line the entire thing. That'd be kind of ridiculous, but sort of fun. Oops. Okay. Yeah, let's get some, where's all that resin I had? Let's grab that stupid thing. There's one. That's not the... Okay. Waves will come kill that one. There we go. Jesus, it's freaking brutal just getting into that. Yeah, so this is a spot that I could stand, I'm sure, take a swing at it, but if it eats up the wall, then I go, oh no, I want the perfect wall. I think I'll just have to suffer the consequences if... Yeah, I am really thinking about making the floor the height, the proper height, that I could like barely walk. That probably would solve a lot of my problems here. Underwater stonework is not as easy as above water stonework, so at least we're learning about the process. Oop. I think it's in the right spot. Don't feel great to leave it there since I was falling when I did it, but what's the downside to it being slightly higher up? It'll cover more dirt. I won't have to stress too much about that. But I don't think it'll mess up the boat. It won't look much different, right? It'll just basically be the same. I want it to be real clean, at least most of it, right? I might have to do that. Let's see. Maybe if I can do... Or Does this swing down enough to hit it? Yes, it does. Okay. Hi. Here to check out the work site? Yeah, well, not interested. Go away. Okay, I'll go away. I'll go over here. I have to be super tedious because the whole point of it is that I need it. I want it to be super clean. All right, you know what? I'm just going to... I can just tell it's going to be a headache the entire way. So we're going to redo it. But it's in the right height. So I just need to do slightly... Because it's not like the boat is going to... Yeah, okay. Good God. This guy's back. Okay. Like that's 2 heights of board. Right? Okay. Okay. I'm just deciding if I do 1 or 2. So tedious, man. Ugh. Okay. Now, it's a little bit slightly off where it was, but that's okay. I don't think it matters. 30 degrees. So we want the one on top. Now, when I put one stone down there, it should be a little bit taller than the other stones. See? Can I walk? Because honestly, being able to walk, I mean, it's shoulder height. Is there any reason why like this helps the bad guys? Do you know what I'm saying? If anything, it makes the whole thing easy to work on. It's, as long as it doesn't impede the big boat. It'll cover the ground better. Yeah, I think it's the right choice. Like and subscribe if you're making the right choice, would you? Helps the algorithm tell others that there's a new video game sheriff in town. Okay. Yes. Yes. Oh. All right. So as long as I'm picking up... Yes, good. I'm getting the stones. Okay, so let's destroy it all. And there'll be little, like, spots that need touching up here and there, but that's how all these sorts of projects go. Yeah, look, I can do the work just walking along here. And then I guess the big test will be when we bring the boat through it. Maybe we should just finish this one and then do a boat test. That might make sense. Bring on the boat test. The first guy to like... I think the 1800s is one of those time periods, which obviously is, I'm not going to say anything really revolutionary. But like, it's not like this is insightful, but there was some crazy ass stuff going on in the whole world in the 1800s. This change in human history with this major shift of... productive capacities and social changes and colonialism really maturing into its centuries-long pinnacle of nightmare. But like the ways people lived, the newspaper stories, meaning like this, like the stuff that made the news of the day, such a difference to where we were. But the start of the 1800s to the end of the 1800s was a tremendous shift in humanity, and et cetera, kind of obvious. My brain always just goes to how immersive Red Dead Redemption was, and I'd like to maybe look into some historical kind of YouTube sort of videos maybe about it in terms of like how accurate it was. But I think they nailed it kind of. I mean, at least in a lot of the ways. I know they had a huge budget. I prefer better stairs. All right, let's maybe go get rested. And we'll get the sun a little time to come up. Yeah, that was a good decision. Look how much easier it is now that I can... okay, yeah. Just dump stuff. What was I saying, though? Like, yeah, like all the technologies that have to be tested before they become commonplace, or at least safer. And I'm talking about boating. At least that's where my brain is right now. But like, you know, the first submarine, the original boat with metal cladding that they put underwater. Like people took, like Marie Curie, the scientist, her husband too was the scientist too, but her name is the famous one. I think his name is Mrs. Marie Curie. And the risks that they took to learn what they learned about radiation, like almost inevitably or invariably, or whatever the right phrasing is, somebody had to die a lot to develop these things. Not that I think that's the right way to do it, but I just don't know how you would avoid a group of scientists roasting themselves, learning what radiation is, just developing the tools to even describe it and to, you know, catalog it and to follow their curiosity and their scientific brilliance into hell. And they both died of radiation. Like, they just got roasted by that stuff. Invariably, I don't know what word, something like that kind of has to happen for every industry. Not to say that that's the best way to do it. We should develop better systems for rolling out technologies. Like driverless cars seems to be kind of recklessly being imposed on everybody. Nevertheless, wait till we come back. The 1800s was a time where that sort of thing was happening constantly and over, and all kinds of people just got their bodies ripped apart, or their stress levels. Just the industrialization of factories. There's a great book called Blood in the Machine by a guy named Brian Merchant. He's a former columnist for the LA Times. He writes about technology, currently does a podcast called System Crash with another tech commentator guy named Paris Marks, who also does his own podcast called Tech Won't Save Us. Sort of like news columnist types who cover tech stuff. Good, smart guys. But the Blood in the Machine is about the Luddites and the way new loom technologies were becoming imposed by the capitalist class of Britain, and the displacement and disruption it was causing to the textile workers who were skilled artisans, and they had their own way of doing things, and a really interesting way to look at the world. And what they ended up developing, these kind of guerrilla resistance forces that fought hard against this stuff being forced on them. Yet the march of the word progress is not the correct word, but that's the word we use, is inevitable. And so, they had to submit to it. And it took the British government sending in thousands and thousands of troops. Oh, fuck, did I go to the wrong one? To force that, to get them to submit finally. My point isn't necessarily the social relations that drove that whole conflict, although that's very, very much an important part of it. But just the notion of who is this stuff supposed to be for? Who is this technology for? Like this canal I'm building is for me, because I want decorations in my palace. It's not for the people whose land I'm doing it to. But this is a video game and this is a YouTube channel. Just have to. I can always eat more honey. Are you kidding me? Don't tell me that. You don't know me. Okay. I'm not even sure what the hell I'm rambling about, but the concept of the people who have all the power, who make the decisions, is that they're not responsible to the world in any sense. They're only responsible to appeasing their silly little quarterly earnings reports, and you know, it's just such BS. But all right, so okay, look at this. Let's just it's so cool. It's so cool. I do think, even though this kind of, these are sacrificial because they'll go away eventually, but I have plenty of resin. But like the decisions I'm making constantly are like how to use these resources. What do I do to maximize this moment and that moment? And, you know, humans or people like me would be pretty useful to the project of this. Not to say that I'm the guy. I'm just saying, like, the way some people's brains work in ways that are, let it loose, let it work, let it do its thing. People bring different talents and skills, and anyway, I'm not sure what I'm saying now, but like these types of decisions just should be made with an entirely different sort of set of what's it all for? Because things are so difficult once they get entrenched. You know, America can't grow, can't have goddamn trains, can't have high-speed rail. Our political system is entirely messed up, though, dude. It is just like, it's like America was challenged to do everything is on the stupidest and dumbest and hardest way possible. Anyway. Nice. So let's offset it here with that and snap to that. Yeah, baby. Okay. Oh man, even though it'll be a couple of little bits like that, I can deal with a little. See the dirt in there, right there? That's fine. I can handle that. I think this is all gotta go too. Just make sure we get this. Oh yeah, walking on it. Oh, this is so much better. So we want this to be the same, and then. Okay, see, it all paid off. I think we're in the right. Partly why I decide to redo stuff and whatever is just like, I know it's going to bother me later. It's not even necessarily the work it takes to redo it or whatever. That sort of thing happens, but it's more just like, this is going to bother me. I'm going to be thinking about this later and I don't want to. Oh, dude. Oh, yeah. Right now I get attacked by wolves. I would be very curious, though, to see if the standing... Because that was the difference between those rocks that I'm destroying. Let's pull it down before we destroy that light. That way I can take the new one. Is swimming versus not swimming. But it's the... Yeah, you see the difference in height. That's what it is right there, so... Anyway, I don't need to keep rambling, but like I mean, I do. I'm literally recording a solo podcast. But the brain drain of corporations too, the amount of intelligent humans, the amount of smart. You don't even have to be intelligent. I'm just saying the amount of human brain power that is tasked with navigating the cultural nonsense inside these places. And I think to some degree, you're not really. It's difficult to get rid of that, but yeah, like right there. Oh, but see, I can take a swing if I want. I want to be careful it doesn't mess up my beautiful wall, though. It chunks out a nice bite. Like, it really goes, okay, we'll take a lot out of it. Like, oh, no. Uh-oh. What did I just build? I just built something. Is it deep under the... Well, alright. That's gone forever. Dude, love it. Now, how do I interface it out? Probably with stairs at some point where it starts to taper into the back into the water. So it'll have to have some sort of slope. Probably just with stone stairs. I don't need to do that either. It's kind of dumb to do that, to be honest, but yeah, the amount of brain energy that could be tasked with things that actually make the world better as opposed to just make some stock price better is just so sad. And if we have to rely on market forces and, you know, wealth accumulation in the form of the pyramid scheme of the stock market, so much of it is speculative, so much of it is just like boosted by, well, it's all relies on the fact that it's not all sold off at the same time. But so much of the value that's there too comes from these wizardry type market forces. Not good wizardry either. I'm just saying, like, there's some phraseology I can't think of right now, but so let me move this thing. Actually, before we do, let's do the walls. Oh, it's looking so good. Yeah, we'll do this wall. I mean, I didn't really. Because it abstracts what actual value is into this toxic thing we call money. At least it's currently experienced, in my opinion, as a toxic thing. Although I do need to get some. I mean, that's precisely the point of it, is that you can't deal with anything without it. As I say, money should be lubricant. It should enable us to access things. I don't think market distribution is necessarily bad. I think there's some decent and reasonable feedback to the information structure that you get from having market distribution, and price differentials that are mediated by supply and demand type factors. But it is so stupid the way we're doing it. Because you got to make them rich people. You got to get their free money. That's the primary. Oh, I love it so much. The torches are like celebratory. They're clearly stupid in terms of like the boat, but maybe I'll do torches along the sides, or like a glowy white ball, the white ball ones. You know, the glowy white balls. You know, glowy white balls. Grew up in Brooklyn, 1948. His dad drove the trolley. Yeah, glowy white balls. That's Marie Curie's grandson. Okay. Shout out to Marie. I need to learn more about my girl Marie. Crazy stuff, though. They were just messing with that shit. Radiation is one of those interesting, like, market stories, too. Just the radiation was used in all kinds of consumer products and manufacturing, and the story that I know that I think would make an amazing movie, because there's a labor element to it. Maybe I'll put that in the film. I don't know. I'm going to do a history section about labor and stuff in the film, too. But these were immigrant women, young women who lived in New York, I think, and they weren't a powerful class. You know, they weren't able to necessarily call their own shots. Welcome to the history of the work cult society that we're stuck in. But they had their jobs were to paint watch faces, either just the handles or like the numbers or something. Really tedious, and they needed to do very precise brush strokes. And it was discovered that this element radium glows blue without having to do anything. It's not even charged up. It's not like glow in the dark. There you are. There you are. I've had enough of your ways. Get over here. You too. Just like a cop on a rampage. And so the technique that they used to make their brushes pointy was their mouth. It's a good little tool. The mouth. And well, when you're painting with radiation paint that causes the watch to look pretty cool because it's blue, I'm sure you've already figured out what happened, is you're radiationing the fuck out of your face to the point of massive illness and cancer, and their lips and gums and throat all got messed up real bad. And one of the interesting labor parts of this, which is sad but also good, is that it became a lawsuit, and it was one of the very first, if not the first, times where workers as a group, and any workers, got to have some form of justice. I think most of the women died and they had families, but got to experience some form of justice for the hell that they were put through by the risks that they were taking to their bodies and the thing. And they didn't necessarily know they're taking those risks, obviously, but the owners of the company weren't doing it. The people who really benefited weren't the ones licking the radiation brushes. So, like, it was a moment in court in time where I don't remember even how it resulted, but, you know, because the owners of the world, the capitalist class, the owner-giving class, the bosses, they don't work, they boss. They had the lawyers and they had the power and they had written the rules, and the sad truth and tragic reality of this whole process of workers asserting some sort of rights to safety and all the other stuff that we still have yet a long way to go on. You know, it's this long old story, but all the nameless, faceless people whose jobs just wrecked them up. I experienced, you know, my own shit with the Young Turks in terms of why we unionized, why I was core to the second unionizing attempt, and then now the project I'm working on to tell the truth about what happened, because they covered it up and didn't tell the truth about what happened. I'll probably come back and do some, like, you know, escaping here. In other words, like, I don't know if I want to necessarily just have a straight wall, but that was also a small part of that whole story too, with TYT, the whole thing. It's a big mess. That guy is not a fan of Hank. He liked my video editing. Not that he even necessarily said it, but I always got good reviews and I got, you know, poorly paid for it, but not my disobedience. My disobedience has caused a lot of problems for. But when you classify somebody part-time while they work 40-hour weeks and they don't get benefits and they're me, you done fuck it with the wrong dude. That's what happened. Wait, that's not my inventory. That's the box's inventory. Yeah, and so, like, but beyond that, the job I got after that was the woodworking. I have to point at the mallet. I love that mallet. I want to build more of those, actually, but I can do a little woodworking with braces, but it still hurts my wrists to do too much. It's so sad for me. I really fucking miss it. It's so good for my brain. The job I had after that, I had no health care. I had no benefits. $18.50 an hour. And I was holding vibrating tools for hours and hours and hours. And then my arms, my wrists started to hurt. And my elbows also started to hurt because I was repositioning my body in ways to alleviate the wrist pain, which caused strain on my elbows. So I started wearing wrist braces. I couldn't take time off and I'd been struggling with work and income and feeling good about myself, you know, my own personal sense of worth in terms of money. And so I needed the work so desperately, and I'm a hard worker, and I liked that the job gave me enough autonomy that I didn't feel crazy, you know, like I got to make my own decisions, and they didn't want me rushing because they understood that that's how you get injured in woodworking if you're trying to hurry. Not that I got to dilly-dally around much, but I worked through the pain, man. And like, if we had a system where I had health insurance through the job, or where I could have seen a doctor, or like through state funded and provided and free at point of use health care, which is what we should all have, shouldn't have to experience stress. I mean, maybe I could have gotten some help before I worked for another 3 or 4 months with agonizing, horrible pain in my arms and wrists. And now I can't fully use my hands for the rest of my life. I still have to try to find some health care for this too. And I think I do have California's Medi-Cal, which is for the, you know, state has better stuff, but you're still very limited, and just the idea of going out and doing any of it is just so stressful for me. Luckily, I can still do editing and stuff. Although, yeah. So, but like that was an experience too of like the way that your job will chew up your body, you know, in a way that could be avoided. People are willing to make sacrifices for their jobs, and it's so many people who do physical work, physical labor too, end up with, you know, messed up bodies, messed up backs and arms, and, you know, and yet the people who really benefit from it are building bigger yachts. Their yachts have yachts. And we call that normal. We call that just. And I think it's a fucking cosmic crime, and I'm sick of it. So that's why I'm playing Valheim here with you. Urgh. We have a responsibility to each other's dignity. The way you get it for yourself is you fight for it for others. Put that in the book. Deers better shut the fuck up. Shut up. Gotta have good vibes. Let's go back, because I think maybe I do some repairs. We'll sleep. I love this though. Doesn't that look cool? Actually, before we do, well, yeah, this looks like I hoped. I'm really glad I bumped it up there. I was being kind of a tedious little bitchy boy, but paid off. This thing is really annoying. So thanks to Marie Curie. Shout out Marie and her husband, Mrs. Marie Curie. Took one on the chin, and by one I mean countless trillions of highly charged particles pulsing through their, interacting with the atoms and the nucleosides of their atoms in ways that tore those people into pieces. Again, this would be like part of my documentary I want to make about the electromagnetic spectrum. I want to make a documentary about farms, entropy, and the electromagnetic spectrum. Those are my next 3 big projects. If I could get past this goddamn TOIT thing, I think I'd love to be able to make really fun, creative, weird documentaries. But I need an audience that'll help me get there. And that's proving very difficult for me to find. Yeah. But like, the electromagnetic spectrum is just this really cool, you know, like radiation would be a huge part of it. Obviously, X-rays for that, the development of these things, light, light itself. But then there's all kinds of cosmic wonders that can kind of come from this. Get rid of this junk. I hate those stupid seeds. These big green, they glow. I don't know if you can even put them down. If you could, maybe I could use them for. Let's test that real quick. No, not that. Yeah, let's just test it to see. Dandelion goes there. Okay, take that. Nope, they didn't make it attachable. There's the Horn of Celebration that I stupidly thought was producing its own potions, and it was just using the potions in my inventory. Just foolish. Just pure, utter idiocy from me, as usual. Okay, so. Nope. Nope, but I think I want to bring some. Alright. Oops. Yeah, these stairs, I still don't have a good design in mind yet for the stairs that I'm going to fix. I don't hate the way they function, but they're just not in the flow. They just don't, something just doesn't flow with that bridge. You can have like half. There we go. Okay. Yeah, 41. Yeah, we'll be able to make some more progress here. I think at the ocean level where it starts to reach the end, we'll just flare it out with some stairs. Maybe circle, maybe shape it. Curve. I meant to say not circle. I don't know if you're watching this. I imagine you probably watch other, but I say the wrong word a lot. I often say just the exact wrong word without even realizing it. I hope you. Oop, did you hear my little throat burp there? Yeah, I do that. I notice when I record, I go, wow, I just said the entirely wrong friggin' word. Oh, I think the thought I was having earlier, maybe 2 episodes ago. Oh yeah, there's a bunch. But eventually, I'm going to need to do some rock hunting, rock harvesting. Because if we're going to layer this entire canal... Because having it only at one end of it sort of seems dumb. Makes sense to do it at both ends, and then in the middle maybe not. But it would be so cool to have the entire thing. Watch, it turns out like the big boat doesn't work or something. Okay. Yeah, but I often just say the damn wrong word. I can't really come up with examples currently, but just imagine it. Oh, yeah. Oh, the walking was so good. All right, let's get some resin and some wood. Do I have wood in these? Yes. Oh, there's all that resin. I knew I had a bunch. But I just want to have our little celebratory... It's just nice to light it up, huh? You're finished. I think the point of the film I'm making, and it's centering into the concepts of leverage and solidarity, and why the reason bosses are afraid of leverage is because it's more powerful than they are. Or leverage of solidarity is because it's more powerful than they are, because it can give you more leverage. And leverage is how you can mitigate the stress that they need to demand to compel your obedience. But the kind of easy boil down is just how much bullshit should you have to put up with? What should you have to consent to? I think we don't realize how much we consent to that we wouldn't if we didn't have to, but it just becomes normal to not even consider it on the table. You don't even realize it's off the table. But the question is, how much bullshit should you have to put up with? Oh, look how cool this is with the lights. Oh my god, it's so awesome with the lights. And I think I can install those blue lights underwater. I think those glow underwater. Or maybe yellow. Oh man, how's my health? Yeah, I love this so much. This is great. Look at that. Yeah, so like essentially not all that dark over there, but it'll just sort of, I'll just like round it out here. That makes sense. But right now I want to make progress going the other direction. Okay. Oh, dude. And he's walking. Yeah, it is satisfying that he can walk. I kind of thought that I was defeating the spirit that I was of before, where I was trying to not walk. I think that's part of why I was. Of course, it's only, and even on the calm weather wave day, it'll still push me up and pop me out, which is fine. See, like how it messed me up there. All right, I'll just do it here. Oh, for God's sake. How much bullshit should you have to put up with? It's one thing to think of that as like your boss is a jerk. You can't really say much. You got to put up with crap that you don't want to. You got to shut up and take it. Somebody does something stupid. Somebody makes their job your job. Somebody has a little bit more power over you. You know, there's going to be personal, interpersonal, human dynamics throughout the entire thing, no matter what system we come up with. But, you know, unions can give you protection. Unions can help you. Missing requirement. Yeah, I'll probably come back and do that on my own. The rounding bit there. Not that you wouldn't. But just, you know, it can mitigate those sorts of things. It can give you ways of resolving conflicts, giving you ways of asserting interests and needs. And it also means you have to compromise. This doesn't mean you get everything you want. It just means that your consent parameters are altered. Excuse me? Did you get a flight permit to land on my airbase? But it's kind of about, on bigger scales, the stuff I was talking about earlier. Why the fuck, when you buy electricity, are you helping some rich person buy a Lexus? Why when your leg breaks, it's an opportunity for a ghoul who has all the money in the world to make more money, because now your desperation spikes drastically. Your desperation goes way up when your femur snaps, and so does their profit, because the desperation equals their profit. Maybe not equals, but they are directly connected. Stress is the root function of society, and workers must seize the means of stress. How much ass bullshit should you have to put up with? Put the word ass in there, because that makes it fun. And Americans are proud of themselves for being, especially the old school values of just putting up with whatever comes their way. You don't like it, you can go somewhere else to some other abusive thing, and you roll the dice on that. Maybe you'll get lucky. Maybe it won't be so bad. And sometimes it's not so bad. Sometimes people find work that they're, you know, it's not like it's always just the worst. I kind of feel like I need to, I mean, I don't know why I need to keep these, but let's just do like a, I don't even know what I'm doing there. That's just sort of to mark the anchor spot. All right. Come on in. Don't damage my rocks. There you go. I'll take the hit. Just protect my precious canal. Swim into it. Ugh. Oh, wait, is it the fires? It does look cool with the fires, doesn't it? Why am I calling them the fires? Yeah, I think that's what he's shying away from. So annoying. Like at the Young Turks, man, it's not that I wanted special treatment. I just wanted the same disrespect everyone else got. That's one of my lines. But like, zero benefits, no paid days off, working full time. Excuse me. It took 12 months to get to a point where I got benefits. During those 12 months is when we started organizing. It's outrageous. And then the guy goes and tells his audience, this is just so funny. Tells his audience that it was outsiders started the union. He never quite expanded precisely on how that happened. He was running for Congress, so this is what the film gets into. But there was the IATSE, the big entertainment union, and it was a California congressional race, and they endorsed his opponent, and they used that to spin this yarn that the union originated from Washington, D.C. and his political foes, Nancy Pelosi and his political opponent. Because she was a state senator who had ties with with unions in the state, being a politician in California. Yet, the organizing at UTIT had begun 18 months before Cenk ran for Congress. In other words, there's proof. There's emails proving that, like that they were already in touch with IATSE. I wasn't around for the first attempt, but I was very much involved with the second attempt. So yeah, it's just wild. And like that endorsing of IATSE endorsement, as I explain all the time, I concede that given the intense nature of the political campaign and this unusual political campaign with this media figure, a lot of online, it was pretty tumultuous. Bernie Sanders had endorsed him, and presidential candidate Bernie Sanders. And the film goes into this stuff. I think that the endorsement is grounds for caution or an eyebrow raise, let's call it. Which means that your next step is fact-checking. Is to say, okay, hold on, we can't necessarily say yes to this. Because they used it to justify saying no to the union and then doing all the union busting. And, but I'm accurately and correctly arguing that was fair if it raised eyebrows, but not fair to then tell a story and react to a premise that was confirmable. In other words, they didn't check with the sources of the story before they went forward with their response. And the facts were available. I was putting them on Twitter, for one. They were out there, and everybody who was an original source in the story was in the same room. They could have checked the facts, and they didn't. Anyway, I don't mean to get into all this stuff. I kind of wanted Suck Professor to avoid this stuff anyway. Not that that's not the point of the probably yet, but how much ass bullshit should you have to put up with? But unions aren't the only answer. There's cultural changes that are needed. I think America is a very spiritually deranged society, mainly because of its root code as a continent spanning racial supremacy that erased ethnicity and replaced it with whiteness, and the domination subjugation baked into the concept of that. So like, we're gonna go straight on for a while. This is gonna be awesome. This is gonna get nice and long. This is so great. Maybe though we got to do a boat test. Oh shit. Am I picking up some of the wood at the bottom there? Oh, so cool. Okay, just spat up. Okay. Dude. It's got kind of funny looking. And when someone calls you part-time while you're working 40-hour weeks, well, that was a little more bullshit than I felt like putting up with. And that was other stuff before that. I was an independent contractor doing the same job as people called employee. So yeah, it's kind of funny. I'll just end it on this here, though. If you want to see how much the guy hates me, though, it's on my Twitter, but Francesca Fiorentini, who's a comedian and a journalist and a podcast, she does an amazing job. I'm hoping to talk to her one of these days. I do know her from working at TYT, but she brought me up in an interview with Cenk, and his reaction was like pure rage. He didn't get into a lot of detail, unfortunately. I really wish they had, but he makes this vomit face, and she says, I helped with the union. He goes, he helped with nothing. And then she goes, but Hank was such a good guy. And he goes, ha 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 ha. He makes this like rage face, this like angry. And that's how power reacts to people who stand up to them. You know, they're little bitch pussies. No offense to the P's of the world, by the way. I feel like that's not necessarily going to make that my cause, but I feel that I never met one that seemed weak. Seems like a pretty tough organ. Okay, they cats babies. Give me a break. I kind of want to do stuff where I take the thing around and rip down buildings. There's a stone house up here. Is there any reason to keep it? You know, not really. So let's try that. That's always something I haven't done yet in the game that I've been curious to, because I do need to get stone. This thing is going to cost us a ton in stone. But I do also need to relocate this. I think I need to get some wood. Okay. It's stressful, the whole thing, man. It's really fucking stressful. Like I need it to be done. I need to get, you know, I should be working every minute on it, just no matter what. That's probably where my brain should be the whole time, be done with it. But I need to I'm trying to get a fundraiser going, and it's just not, maybe doing this kind of stuff is slowing it down, but this is almost kind of for mental health. And sorry on it. Okay, does that cover? All right, after we do these. What do you mean none? Why? Leave me alone. Okay. Oops, I don't think that's... It would have been weird to just not do it. Not just to try it. To be like, wait a minute. That's not what happened. You don't get to tell the world a story that other people lived that's not at all true. It's one thing to, like, in good faith get something wrong. That's a different kind of way of getting something wrong. That also warrants correcting. But, like, straight up, like, oh yeah, I'm just not going to tell anybody. I'm just going to make up something that's not true based on the flimsiest evidence when it's very clearly... And if you think about it just for a moment, like, all the guy had to do was not bust the union, and this whole story would have been different. I mean, there might still have been risks of the reasons the union started coming out, or started. That was another major part of the cover-up, is they don't want anybody to learn those details. So, but, yeah, just like, ugh, geez, if you just said yes to the union, this whole thing would have been so much easier. You still would have hit, it still would have been like, Wait, why did they start the union? Well, here's the truth. Oh, gee, that doesn't look good. That probably still would have happened, but the union busting was a huge part of the whole deal. Okay, so let's run down and rip apart a house. I might just keep recording. I don't know. I'm feeling motivated to finish it. There's the house we're going to tear apart. And there's a workbench over here. How about we rest for a second? In my resting spot. Enjoy the lily pads. 6 level comfort. Pretty foggy out here, huh? There it is. Kind of would rather not do this in the fog, but I guess you gotta go with what you got. All right. So what stone do we have currently? We have 3. Oh, it's so great. Yes. I mean, there's a lot in here, right? Not now. I'm busy. I'm in a meeting. Oh, it's kind of satisfying. That stupid idiot wasn't bothering me the whole time. Oh, this would have been a good spot to stand. Ugh. You guys really bothered it. You really came by and it's like I was at the movies with my girlfriend and we had the road to ourselves. And things were happening and then you sat right next to it. All right. Beautiful. Annoying to do it in the dark, in the fog, but that's all right. Let's see what we ended up with. Oh, it's 50, 100. Pick up all the rest of it. So that was a decent chunk. And we earned ourselves 50. And so that's 100 sitting there plus. It's a lot. Minus 3. So 250. 1. Dude. That's good. That's worth it. Run around, do some of that. Not sure how long it takes to get 250. 5 piles. Then you gotta transport it and stuff, but you know, you can deal with that. Here, let's just set it all up because it's all gonna get. Okay, let's see. Nope. Just. Oh, I could have done the other stuff. Fine, I'll walk slow. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. This has been a fun one. super jazzed about the canal, we'll just head over that way and get back to work on it. Appreciate you tuning in. Bye.